As entrepreneurs, we face so many challenges. One of the biggest challenges is how to get our message out there and make a difference in the world. Whatever is important to us, we want to make that impact. And as entrepreneurs, it's not easy. There's all kinds of noise. Well, today I have a remarkable entrepreneur who's joining us that you are going to love. He has been extremely successful on a number of fronts. He started, many of you know, Dan Sullivan, strategic coach, supporting strategic coach, then went out on his own, and what a difference he made. First as a marketing consultant, then in real estate, doing over $100 million in condo transactions in Toronto. And then he started a new business, answering his why. The lessons he learned along the way, being a serial entrepreneur, we all want to know. I'm John Bowen. We're at AESNation.com, all about accelerating your success. Stay tuned. You do not want to miss this.
Ordinary success? No way. You want amazing, remarkable, exceptional breakthroughs. Dig deep, think bold, drive hard, watch yourself soar beyond your dreams. AESNation.com.
Giovanni, I am so excited to be with you here. Normally we're together at different mastermind groups that we're both involved in, and I didn't know your full story, and then once I learned it, I wanted to share it with our audience, so thank you for making the time.
Thank you, John. This opportunity to share my story, my message with your audience is incredible. I'm so very grateful.
Well, and we both have a lot to be grateful for, and one of the things I want to do is have you share your insights, because you're one of those quiet guys at the mastermind groups I'm involved, but when you say something, it's really impactful. And so why I've got you here, I want to make sure that we go ahead and we focus in on the solutions, the life lessons you've learned. But before that, give me a little bit of the backstory of this journey that you've been on.
So it all started back in 2002 when I was lucky enough to get a job as strategic coach run by Dan Sullivan, who you mentioned in the intro, doing all their marketing for them, and the opportunity to sit in on workshops. And while I did, I learned something very invaluable, that when you surround yourself with excellence and with successful people, it actually helps you grow. And I felt like I was cheating back then, because these clients are coming in paying, anywhere from 10 to 20,000 a year to sit in the room, and I was getting paid a lot more than that to sit in the same room. So when I left in 2005, I said two things. One, I need to find a way to recreate what happened to me at some point, to give someone else that opportunity to sit in a room like this. And the second thing was, the second I qualify for the strategic coach program, I'm coming back as a client. I left to do marketing consulting. One of my clients was in the real estate space, selling pre-construction condos in Toronto. She asked me to help her out. I did. Her business blew up, and she said, "You're so good at this. Why don't you just do all my marketing for me, get rid of your consulting, and we'll split everything 50-50, which I did. And eventually got my license and was led into the real estate space. And within a few years in that, I qualified for a strategic coach. And I believe I'm the first employee to leave and come back as a client, which to me was a huge deal. And then I kept growing and growing in the real estate space, using all of my direct response marketing that I learned, from being around all these awesome people, and none of my competition would ever even know this stuff existed. And then I heard about 25K and joined Joe's group. And it was at one of my first meetings where I met Peter Diamandis, and he started talking about changing the world for 1 billion people. And I always had this dream of doing something huge that was a movement, something philanthropic to change the world and be a superhero. And this is 2012, and I said, I'll do that, 5 years from now. And as soon as I heard Peter speak, I said, I can't wait that long. I have to start now. So a year later, I started my Archangel community, which is a group of big-hearted entrepreneurs who want to change the world. And I feel like I've started a team of superheroes who are creating massive impact.
No, I hear nothing but, I haven't had the privilege of joining the group, but I did have so many feedback from your meetings. I mean, they've been blown away, and I've watched you at 25K because we're in this, we were in the same group there, and just watched the progress you've done. And I've loved learning the direct. I don't know if we should tell everybody we've learned it all. At 25K and all the people between 25K and strategic coach who are direct response, but there are some hard lessons. Giovanni's learned, and he's applied them extremely well. I've applied them pretty well too. And we're going to share a lot of those ideas, but more on just the big lessons learned, Giovanni. You have made such a difference. And I mean, it's, the $100 million in real estate's not too bad, kind of just getting started and so on. And I was joking before we turned on the cameras. I was in Toronto last week, and just all of a sudden it hit me, all the condos that were there were it's amazing seeing all the progression. But I want to dive into what what the lessons learned. And one of the big ones was this ascension model you talk about of starting and building your tribe. Help me better understand how that comes together.
Well, sure. I watched what a lot of the successful people in all of these programs do, and I studied everyone, and I realized there was something in common where the harder way is to develop an idea, a product, and then go out and try to find an audience or clients for that product. And then there was the group of people who would start with the tribe first, figure out who they want to connect with, build that community first, figure out what those people need, and give it to them. And it sounds so basic, but it actually really works, right? So I in my Archangel business, I literally started with an avatar of who my hero is, and that's the word I use, hero. And I defined it very clearly. I only want big-hearted entrepreneurs who are positive, hyper-growth oriented, very giving. They're all into contribution. They're willing to share their best resources, their best wisdom with each other. And they want to be a part of a community. They want to be a part of a family. And I actually use the word family now because the word client is not good enough. I love every one of them, and we're just a big family. So we started with the tribe first, and now I just ask, literally, what do you need? It's kind of going back to the Dan Sullivan question. Figure out what people's dangers are and the opportunities. And that's served me so well, even now. And I learned that over 10 years ago.
And so many of the things that we learn as entrepreneurs along the journey, I mean, we can read a book, we can learn it at a mastermind, but it's when we execute on this stuff. And it's, we're all tempted to have these, huge groups that we're working with, but if we can, get clear what we're passionate about, find like-minded people that we want to be a hero to and they want to be a hero to us, this ascension just really takes off. But you had one, I'm going to go with number 2 you gave me, which was rejection marketing. Now, every entrepreneur has had a lot of experience with rejection, but you are the first one, Giovanni, to bring up rejection marketing. Give me some framing, everyone some framing on this.
Well, it totally ties in with what I just mentioned. And rejection marketing is all about figuring out, the hell yes type of client and saying no to everybody else, and building a tribe and community of those hell yes clients. And I'll share an awesome story. Last year, I was really intrigued by Lady Gaga, the performer, musician, and singer. And in an industry that's totally collapsing, she's killing it. So I said, what is this? Because I know her marketing is good, but I need to figure this out. So I literally bought 2 tickets to her concert in Toronto last summer. And then I got it. She mastered rejection marketing. She mastered the art of defining who her avatar is. And in her case, she actually branded them. She calls them little monsters. And essentially, she's going after the misfits and the people who are bullied and anyone in that sort of target demographic that isn't served by anybody else. Everyone else goes after the teeny bopper pop loving kids. This is a different group. And she owns that tribe. And when you're at her concert, you feel a part of her tribe. She does everything she can to connect with her audience and make them connect with each other, which is huge. And I literally took notes at a Lady Gaga concert, and I applied.
You were probably the only one doing it too.
I was. I took notes. I took video. I have video. I literally studied everything she was doing, and it has served me well.
I mean, she, whether you like her music or not, she is an unbelievably impressive entrepreneur and certainly talented individual, and is one of the world leaders. And matter of fact, just before our conversation today, I was talking to a really big time studio producer, and we were talking. I was asking him about the disruption going on in his industry, and he was telling me it's continuing. So I mean, to really excel in that place is just unbelievable. So that's lesson number 2, is that rejection marketing. Let's go to lesson number 3, and this is one you and I really share. and it's being part of a high-end mastermind. Being in a group of really talented individuals, and it's made a huge difference in my life, and that's why I started AESNation.com. The reason is simply I wanted to share people like yourself with 10,000 of my close entrepreneurial friends, as if we're all sitting down having a cup of coffee. But tell us what has made a difference for you personally in being masterminds, and then what would you recommend to your fellow entrepreneurs?
I tell everyone that the first thing they should do, if they're at a certain point where they can afford it, is join a very high level mastermind group. Surround yourself with people that have wisdom they can share with you, and value you can share with them, so that it's almost like collective wisdom. And I started with Strategic Coach, moved to 25K. I started my own, which is Archangel. I'm also a member of the Brotherhood, which is a different one, right? So, and we both go to Mastermind Talks, which is in itself kind of like a mastermind group.
Right.
And, case in point, we're speaking today because we met at 25K. And everything we do is all about relationship, and it's all about being connected to the right people. And you want to join a group where it's very highly curated by someone who understands how to do that.
Yeah,
right?
I look at it, Giovanni, you and I would not likely to be talking today had we not joined 25K. And and I mentioned to you I was in Toronto last week, and I count Strategic Coach really as a high-end mastermind group too. And you said you had met with JJ Virgin and Joe Polish, Genius Network Marketing. I think JJ's companies are called JJ Virgin, but two unbelievably talented marketing people who I was with at Strategic Coach. They're in my coaching session. I also see them and know them both obviously very well through Genius Network, and just having the opportunity to bounce ideas off of, JJ and I had a great conversation. Dan Sullivan, Joe, and I just completed, if any of you participate in a huge entrepreneurial study that we're going to be releasing later this year. Those things would never happen, and they're so, the value is unbelievable.
It's immeasurable. I've learned more sitting in these groups than any business school could ever teach. Yeah. Right? Because it's hands-on. It's what I love the most is that there are people sharing what works, like actionable tips of things they've actually done. Saying I've spent the money, I wasted it here, but it was successful here. Here's how to do it step by step. You can't get that anywhere else. And people aren't willing to share that unless they're in a group of that nature.
And what's interesting too is oftentimes some of the most, this would be talent if you and I went to hire them, particularly in our early years. We could afford to get into the group, but we couldn't hire necessarily these people to give us advice. But the willingness to be as part of being in a high-end mastermind, everybody's willing to share their experiences. And for me, it's been worth many millions of dollars, and I know for you too, Giovanni.
Right.
So this is the two of us are saying, go do it.
Yes, please do it right now.
This is not. It doesn't have to be our groups, but just do a group. And both Giovanni and I are in multiple ones, and I spend over $100,000 a year being in mastermind groups. So I definitely, and I don't like traveling, and I have to travel for all of them. So, there's a good reason. Okay, let's go to lesson 4. And I think this is a great one. And this is one that every once in a while, some of the fellow entrepreneurs will have heard, something like this, but they haven't done it. Start a movement versus selling a product. What do you mean by this, and how do you actually do it?
Well, it's based on Simon Sinek's incredible book, Start With Why, which essentially says people want to connect with others who share the same values, same beliefs, and share the same why, in quotations, WHY. And even as a marketing strategy, if you want to call it that, and it's not probably the best term, but taking all things equal, if price is equal, if the product is the same thing, if one company shares a common philanthropic model with you, if they support the same charities, or if they want to change the world in the same way, you will support that company versus the other one. And there are studies that prove this. And if you actually build a business that has positive impact in the world, already embedded in what you're doing, you're doing well by doing good, right? And you're making a fortune by making a difference. And that's what our whole community is about. It's not about picking one or the other. There's a lot of people that want to make a lot of money. There's a lot of people that want to make a big difference. And there's that awesome sweet spot in the middle where you can actually do both because of the other. So you can actually make a fortune by making a difference, and make a difference because you have those profits. Right? I believe entrepreneurs like us can do a lot more than a typical charity can, because their hands are tied. There's a lot of red tape, and they don't get sustainability as much as we do in profits and using that money, right? So I would definitely find a way to start a movement that people can become a part of, where it's bigger than you. It's not about you as the individual. It's about the bigger why.
And there's so many examples out there of this, and where people started a movement, and I mean, there's a business around it, and as entrepreneurs, it's in our enlightened self-interest to create tremendous value, because the only way you get paid is if you deliver value, and your ability to make a difference in the world. I've always felt, not even giving anything ever to charity, you can make a huge impact. And if you choose, I've been involved with a number of charities, and I've asked them, would you prefer to have me on the board or just write the check? Most of them want the check and the relationships. They don't want you on,
right.
But they want you to continue being successful and helping them be successful. And we're in a unique position to do that. But whatever you're doing, I mean, even if you don't have a charity you're interested in, you want to make a big difference, start a movement. I mean, get people behind you, because they, in their enlightened self-interest, will help you be even more successful. Let's talk.
I'll
Go ahead.
share a quick business model for our Archangel Club community. So, when someone starts a membership site or an online product launch, the Jeff Walker kind of style, a lot of times they build it through affiliates, where they're paying out commissions for people who are referred to them. And I love the model, but I don't love it for myself. So what we're doing now is we have a monthly fee. It's $126 a month, but half of that money, instead of being paid out as an affiliate commission, goes into a pot. And then the members get to vote on how to use those funds to create positive impact in the world. So we've donated money to Kiva, which is one of my favorite organizations. Last month, we gave $1,000 to Neil Moore's crowdfunding project to create a piano curriculum for any families that have autistic children, and give away for free. This month, we're giving $1,000 to Stu McLaren's charity, World Teacher Aid, to build schools in Kenya. And as we grow, the impact grows. So the bigger the community gets, the more money we can use to create positive impact. And it's a for-profit model. It's not a nonprofit. And that's what I love the most about it.
I think we forget the impact that we can have too. And and it doesn't have to start really big. It's collection, all of us working on this. It's amazing. And one of the things you've done really well, and it's lesson number 5, is, I'm going to call it building a tribe, but what you've done is branding your tribe. And, there's this I live in California, so everything's about me. No, it's we you've got. And, how do you do that? Because most people, when they're thinking about branding, they're thinking of, image and all this, and you're focused on branding your tribe.
Right. And again, another amazing tactic that I borrowed from Lady Gaga, who's done this perfectly. And what I like to tell people, that the analogy I use is, imagine you are the mayor of a city, and your clients, your dream clients, are the citizens of the city. What would you call the citizens? What name would you give them? And in my world, it's archangels. That's the word I use. And you want to get to the point, and this is the key, where one of your citizens can recognize another one without your involvement. So you have a very clearly defined avatar of who your perfect dream client is, to the point where they recognize each other and they can point each other out. So if you ask anyone at any of our events who is an archangel in their life that isn't at this event, they can easily say, oh, I know, Jim, and I know Lisa. They're perfect because of A, B, and C. So the strategy is to be very clear, the clarity on defining who a citizen in your city is.
Well,
right?
and it really leads to your 6th strategy, which I love, is a referral strategy, because what we want to do is, every entrepreneur, I don't care what business you're in, we want to spread the message. We want to attract the right people to work together to make this huge difference. And your lesson 5, the branding your tribe, really sets the stage and makes you referable and very powerful. Talk about your referral strategy.
Oh, for sure. And I came up with this at the end of my last event. We do events every year in Los Angeles. And a lot of people at the event asked me, what's the hashtag for this event? And I would jokingly say the hashtag is put your effing phone away, because I don't want 10 million people knowing about this event. I want the one right person knowing about this event. So the way I ended was by going on stage and saying, think about the people in your world and think about the one person you believe all of us today missed out because they weren't here with us. And please introduce me to that one person. And that strategy alone has been instrumental in helping us grow our tribe, because it's very easy for them to think of that one person. And usually the answer is, oh, I know more than one, which is, okay, that's fine. But it works so well to once people have identified that avatar, that hero client, it's very easy for them to recognize it in other people. And that's what you want to get to.
I mean, you've done such a good job of painting who's the perfect member of this tribe. And, what so many of us do is we get caught up. We want to have the largest mailing list. We want to get social media be everywhere. We want to have tens of thousands followers, and there's all kinds of research that most groups 150 is kind of the maximum everybody can know each other. There's certainly a lot of research that a real good list of 1,000 true fans is all anybody needs to build a multi-million-dollar business. So this really comes together well. Let me go to the next segment, which is the book of the day. And for your fellow entrepreneurs, Giovanni, is there a book that jumps out at you as one you'd recommend?
10,000%. It's Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, who's a really good friend of mine now because of his book. It was so impactful on me that I actually invited him to come and speak at my event, because I want to share his message. And the whole premise is to create routine and structure every morning so that you're the most productive throughout the day. And there's a whole series of things to do, like journaling and exercise and meditation. But how it's actually grown in my life is that now not only do I have a morning routine, I actually have a weekly routine, and where I do the same things on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I have a whole structure for my week, which for some people, the misconception is that that's boring. But because I'm able to be so productive during my productive time, I'm actually able to have a lot more free time. And I used to glorify the idea of being busy. I'm so busy. And now I'm actually the exact opposite, where I'm not busy. I actually have time to do stuff that I want. Every day from 12 to 3 is my time off. Who gets that kind of flexibility? And it's because my days are so structured.
And this is one that I really believe too, Giovanni. And it happened, I forgot who I introduced. I think Jason Gennard, another friend of ours, Mastermind Talk, introduced me to Hal. Hal, I had an earlier podcast. I'd recommend you can go on aesnation.com and listen to it and watch it. And it was a great podcast. And his book I would recommend very strongly as well. I'll put it up on screen if you're on the video podcast, The Miracle Morning, and we'll have all the links at AES Nation. The Not So Obvious Secret Guaranteed to Transform Your Life Before 8 a.m. And being effective before 8, it's amazing what you can accomplish before the world gets started. I've loved it, and I have exactly that ritual. And what's also happened is I do what you do now too. I have blocks of time throughout the day. I have I call it my rhythm, and it's my rocket. Robert Cooper, I don't know if you know Robert, Cooper Strategic, he's in 25K as well. Robert gave all this neuroscience research of how important it is to do what we're both talking about, is blocking that time so you have the free time. You'll be much more productive during these times. You put the rituals together. And I've just found my productivity has increased dramatically. But at the same time, I feel like I've got so much free time, and I do. And I schedule in now, what I want to do on my free time. And, this is, as entrepreneurs, we got to recharge. But where it really hit me, Giovanni, was I think I did it with you, where, I use Time Trade, a software, to let people schedule. And when I first started doing that, I didn't have anything blocked out. And all of a sudden I'd have 14 appointments in a day, and you couldn't be productive. So now I create all the productive time, the interviews for podcasts, my client meetings, all that, my team meetings. It's really been amazing. So it sounds like that's something we both.
I use the app Calendly.com for my schedule, and it's been life-changing. Like, I'll give you a fun story. Last week,
ahead.
a typical day, I work until about 11:30 in terms of my thinking strategy work where I need my brain. And then that day, a bunch of entrepreneurs went on a picnic in a park all afternoon, playing, throwing footballs around. And then at 3:30, I actually had to leave to go do my Skype calls. And, describing it was so awesome because I didn't say I have to go back to work like a negative thing. I said, I can't freaking wait to talk to these people, right? So what an amazing day. I get to use my thinking cap all morning. I get to play around all afternoon in a park with a bunch of awesome people. And then I get to Skype with some people around the world. Like,
Yeah,
couldn't get any
and this
better.
is the thing that we all get that opportunity to do if you do it on purpose. Let me go to the next section, which is what I'd like to do is go ahead and really go into apps, application of the day. Giovanni, what would you recommend to your fellow entrepreneurs?
I love Waze. I'm very addicted to Waze, WAZE, which is a map application on your phone that gives you real time the fastest way to get anywhere. And I've honestly saved days of my life by using this app. No joke. Like, I'm on the road 2 to 3 hours a day sometimes. And literally, it'll take you off into the craziest side streets. You don't understand why you're doing what you're doing until you realize how much time you've saved. And I've tested it. I've actually not done what it told me to do and realized very quickly, shoot, like, I should have listened. And it's just getting better and better. And it tells you where there's accidents. It tells you where there's police on the road. It tells you all these amazing things. Just trust me, download it. It is a lifesaver, literally.
And I totally agree. I mean, we were joking before we turned on the camera. I asked you this, and I said the first time I ignored it, I got caught in a half-an-hour accident, seeing that I could have vectored around. And the brilliance of this is it turns your smartphone into a sensor. So, the more people that use it, the more accurate the information is. And I live in Silicon Valley, a lot of traffic. You live in Toronto. I've been in the traffic there too. This is so invaluable. I can't imagine anyone not using it. So great recommendation. Let's go to the next one, which is resources. And Giovanni, if people want to learn more about what you're doing, where would they go?
So there's our main event site, which is Archangel Academy 2016.com, and then there's our community site, which is archangel.club.
Well, let's go first to what are they going to find at the Archangel Academy 2016?
So it essentially explains, and it's actually a great model to show how rejection marketing works. It clearly defines who we are and who we look for. And, you can't actually buy a ticket to our event. There's an application process. You either have to be referred by someone or fill out a lengthy application so that we can ensure you're a perfect fit for who our community is and for who our, the avatar is. And as a funny aside story, there was someone who applied once who had a bit of a brand name. I thought it would be awesome to have this person come until they filled out the application. And one of the questions they actually said, just Google me. And I said, hell no, you're exactly what we don't want, right? And that filtering process actually really helps. And it's a great lead generation process to have an application form. So I would just check out the site for how it's structured in terms of rejection marketing. The other big thing is our video on our site. I get an email every week. It always happens from someone I don't know saying, I saw your video and I cried. And honestly, that video explains what the Archangel movement is. And we talked about starting a movement. So even if you're not interested in what I do at all, I just encourage you to copy what I'm doing because it works.
And it is. And I didn't cry during the video, but I did watch it, and it's really moving. And it's going to attract the people you want to work with. And if you're creating a community, that's what you want. You don't need the whole world. You don't need all 7 billion people to work with you. You just need, some of us need one. Some need 100, some need 1,000, some need 10,000, whatever the number is. But I think it is a great example. Let's go to the other website. Let me pull it up here for those who are watching the video. And then again, you can see all the links. I'm going to put it up on screen. And there you are hanging out with an awful lot of good-looking people having a lot of fun.
Yeah, Archangel Club is essentially a virtual version of our events, right? So we wanted to grow the community in a way that didn't take away from what the event was. And at the event, we love the idea of Dunbar's number, right? Don't grow past 150. And for me, any events with 150 or more people, it's really hard to connect with people. So we maintain our higher end event at 120, actually, even a smaller number. And this was our way to grow the community digitally, virtually, in a way that made sense. So it's an online community of like-minded people, the exact same rejection marketing process. There's an application, or you have to be referred, and most people are referred in. And going back to what you said about you don't need the whole world, I've never understood why someone wants a list of 1 million people, and you send an email blast and you might get 0.01 of a response. Well, if the response is 1,000 people, why not just go after those 1,000 people that are going to be hardcore fans and go deep in a relationship with them, and not waste your time with the people who don't care anyways? Right? That's sort of my model, and I think it works.
It does. I can tell you, when I first started doing a little bit of the direct response, testing it on the successful, people with over $1 million. It's about 5 million in the U.S. And I said, let's test out this concept, and I sent out 4,000 emails to these people. And I had one of the best copywriters in the world do it, and the open rate was 2%. The click-through rate, I don't remember, but it was 2.2% was the open, and click-through was actually good because it was a good message. I was devastated. I couldn't believe how bad, and what I got told by all the direct response people, that's really good for a cold list. And I'm kind of going, you know what? Let's just go to the people who really want to work, and we can create the videos, the podcasts, the webinars, the live events to attract those people. And I just encourage everyone to do that as well. You've done a great job with it.
Right. Create something that is invaluable to people, and then people will refer it to other people who are like them, right? Everyone wants that referral model where 100% of their business is by referral, but people focus always on chasing the new business with their ad dollars. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's just
and take good care of your clients once they become clients, rather than, okay, now you're a client, I'm going back to the prospects and staying focused on them. So how does the club work? What actually are you doing?
Yeah, for sure. So it's actually growing in a really fun, organic way because I'm co-creating what it is with the members. So as members come in, we have a private Facebook group where there's a lot of activities, probably the most active group I've ever seen. We have a membership site that stores all the videos. So all the videos from our event, we have a really good production team that records everything. And then as a new member joins, this is really cool. We customize everything. A new member joins, they talk about what their gift is, what value they can share with the group, and then what their biggest challenges are, so that other members can see that and create videos or posts that will help them through that challenge. So every time a new member comes in, there's more content created, and all the content is created by the members. And then we store those videos in the membership site. Another thing that we do that's incredible and a lot of fun is something I call a choir storm. And choir is the name of our tribe because the word choir means a tribe of angels. And every week we do an online live video roundtable discussion on a specific topic that comes up the most in the challenges from our group. And we bring on guest experts that I can start by interviewing them, and then other members can just talk. And we use zoom.us, which is kind of like doing a Google Hangout. And there's one view called Gallery View with all the heads on at the same time. And we call it the Brady Bunch view. And it's actually a lot of fun. So we do one of those every week, and we have one tomorrow with Neil Moore on relationships. Him and his wife are amazing. We have one next week with Jeff Hayes on crowdfunding. We have another one in a couple of weeks with Steve Sims, another one with Garrett Gunderson on financing for entrepreneurs. So there's always a guest expert.
All great guys. I think every one of them, I'm pretty sure I've done a podcast with, and some I'm doing business with. So yeah, I mean, this is, it goes back to what we're all talking about, is creating that community, together. And, they're helping you build this. They're delivering value, and out of that, they're getting value, and all your members are getting value. And this is, I mean, life's too hard to try to do it on your own. Get some good help from friends. And if you don't have, and most of us don't have really, some of us, I live in Silicon Valley, you live in Toronto, so we're surrounded by a lot of entrepreneurs. But at the same time, in our daily life, the ability to hang out with 100 really successful entrepreneurs, you don't get that. Well, we can without any problem.
I have two amazing stories that came out that spawned, and I think Dan Sullivan will call this a strategic byproduct. One, one of our members had to fly to Toronto for an event for the first time. And I own a bunch of condos for my other business. And I said, well, I don't sleep there. Why don't you just stay there? And, don't worry about the hotel. And then I left her a card when she showed up that said, welcome to Archangel B&B.
Yeah.
And she loved it. And I shared the story in the group with everybody else. And that everyone commented on that post saying, well, if you come to San Diego, you can stay at my house for free. If you come to Melbourne, Australia, you can stay at my... And we literally created this thing called Archangel B&B, where any member can go to any member's house and stay there for free all over the world, which is like a total byproduct. And then a week later, another one of our members started this thing called Archangels Getting Shit Done, where every Thursday at 2 p.m., they all do a Google Hangout where they use the Pomodoro technique. I'm not sure if you...
I don't know that.
So what it is 25 minutes of focused work and then 5-minute break where they all share what they're working on and what they need help with. And then they work again 25 minutes. And it's actually a super productive time that our members use. And anyone can log in. It's a Google Hangout, right? So all these cool things keep spawning. The newest one, Neil Moore and I said, we have a bunch of weight to lose. We want to work as each other's accountability partner. He posted about it in the group. And now we started this whole sub-tribe called the Archangel Personal Transformation Challenge, where we're all helping each other as accountability partners in whatever we want to change. So these things keep spawning out of our tribe that I would have never been able to plan at the beginning, but because I'm co-creating with the members, it's the actual value that they derive is priceless.
No, it really is. And this is where, you can hear it in Giovanni's voice. This is, not only you got to be passionate about it, but he is. And it's so much... This is where, I know you, you know me. We're both, I feel like we're some of the most privileged people in the world. And this is one of the reasons why we're doing the podcast is we want to share with you that you can do it too. Let me take the key takeaways. I'm going to just go down because they were so good and I've got a bunch of notes. Number one, eccentric model. Start with the true fans, the first 1,000, 150, whatever it is, and you'll work with them and they'll help co-create. And Giovanni's done that in each of his businesses. You can too. I didn't do it in the beginning. I grew up kind of more in the financial side where it's chain of command. I was in the military, a pilot. I have learned this is so much more fun and it's much more productive. Rejection marketing. I am big on that. I haven't used that term, but I have a mastermind group of my primary business is coaching top financial advisors, although obviously do with entrepreneurs, and I have match up successful entrepreneurs with top financial advisors. But to get into any of my groups, we have a whole qualification to get in our mastermind of 200 plus top financial advisors. It's really hard, and that makes it even more valuable. High-end mastermind groups, I think we talked about that enough, Giovanni. They, join one. And if you can't find one for whatever reason that you can afford, create one. There's enough information out there. Start a movement. Be passionate. Whatever it is you're passionate about. Obviously, you've got to. I always look at it. You have to be a hero to someone, the avatar, whoever you want to work with. You have to have a passion. You come together, and there has to be a business model that you can monetize it. You don't have to have that business model in the beginning. They'll help you create that if you've got the passion and you've got the right group. Brand your tribe. That's one that I think is just really powerful. And then lastly, by creating this great experience, Giovanni, what you've done is you've made yourself extremely referable. But not only that, you help them by just painting the picture of that one person. And we should all do that. These are super lessons. I want to thank you for joining us. And I want to encourage everyone out there, download the transcription at aesnation.com. We'll have the show notes, all the links. This has been really invaluable. It's been hard to learn for Giovanni. It's been hard to learn for me too. And your clients, your future clients, your family, your other stakeholders, your partners, your teammates, they're all counting on you. These are all life lessons that every one of us should execute. Go make a difference. Wish you the best of success.
Exceptional, remarkable breakthroughs. aesnation.com